Assalamu alaikum guys, I'm happy to announce that I'm coming to Australia for a pretty elaborate tour, 5 cities, Adelaide, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne and Perth. I'm coming for 2 purposes. I'm going to be doing 2 kinds of programs. One's called Story Night and the other is called Quran Week. In this brief video, I'm going to explain to you the difference between those 2 and the purpose of each of them. So let's start with Story Night. You guys are all familiar with stories from the Quran. They're pretty famous, but what we don't often realize is each one of those stories and each scene in those stories has a lot more to offer. And there's a lot of wisdom and insight and profound subtlety inside each of them that has such powerful lessons for your story and mine. The design of Story Night was meant to be that kids above the age of 9, adults, even non-Muslims can enjoy a story from the Quran with some laughs, with an easy, relaxing environment. It's not an academic lecture, and are also able to take in some really profound lessons from the Quran stories, hoping to make you curious about the rest of the stories of the Quran and make you wonder, if there's so much packed inside this small scene from one story, how much more is there to the Quran? So a great idea for people that are just starting out in their study of the Quran or curious about the Quran, that would be Story Night, and it's coming to those 5 cities. The other program I'm doing is Quran Week, and that is a little bit more elaborate. It's going to be a week-long program, 7 days in a row, and it's going to be about 3 hours a day of lecture continuously for those 7 days, covering one surah of the Quran at a time. So I'm going to be doing that program based on the idea that many of you, when you read the translation of the Quran, you can find it rather confusing. You might end up with more questions than answers. And when you try to read tafsir, it seems like it's not really answering your questions, or you're not able to really follow what the author is trying to get at in regards to these ayat. And even a more important question, how does this all apply to me or in our day and age, right? So all of those questions combined gave rise to the program called Quran Week. My team and I spend over 100 hours studying short surahs of the Quran. In this case, in Australia, we're going to be covering Surah Al-Mumtahana and Surah At-Taghabun. And after those 100 hours of study and elaborate note-taking discussions and research across multiple tafsirs, comparative religion, across all of those sciences, I put all of my notes together, synthesized them, summarized them, and put them together in the form of this lecture series so that I can do service to one of those surahs in the form of this lecture series, and you get to see 2 things. You get to see all of that learning synthesized and presented in simpler language, but you also get to see behind the scenes all the study that it takes to get to that point. So I want to kind of have you appreciate the world of studying the Quran and the world of contemplating the Quran. So that's Quran Week. It's been done in a number of cities around the world so far, and I'm really excited to bring that venture to Australia. I hope you catch both of these ventures. The details to sign up for each of them and when they're happening in this coming October and November, the dates, the details are all on this website. I hope you do sign up, and I'll see you there. Assalamu alaikum.